to another edition of VADA Live. I'm your host, Dan Carrigan. If it's the first time you are joining us at VADA Live, we aim to meet you where you are with timely, relevant insights to help your dealership operations thrive. That includes live interviews, recorded in-depth conversations like this one with industry leaders. We have two joining us today, and more. We really believe we're raising the bar for automotive association content. Well, today we're here to talk about a key driver of success in the auto industry, customer service. And we're thrilled to have two talented guests joining us. Let's get to introductions, shall we both? I'm here and joined by Kayla Kody, Vice President at Richmond Ford Auto Group, and Jake Sodikoff, who is President and Dealer Principal at Steven Nissan and President at HoneyCar, which is a used vehicle franchise with 5 locations. Kayla and Jake, welcome to VADA Live. How are you?
Doing great.
Well, happy to dive right into this discussion. A lot of ground to cover here. Let's just level set for a second, and feel free to jump in whichever is kind of this is resonating with strongly. Where do you think dealers get customer service wrong, and why? Let's just go there right away.
Well, Jake. you're not holding back any punches right out of the gate. Dealers have a bad rap, and I think there's a few things that really cause it. And the two that stick in my mind would be transparency and communication. Customers ultimately, if you're transparent with what the process is, how long it's going to take, you communicate it well. If you communicate your prices and really show them everything up front, normally they're cool. But it's when things get a little bit murky, we find that it goes off the rails.
And I think also trying to make customers fit into what our process is one of the places that we all fall a little bit short, right? Like, hey, this is what we need to get done, and this is the process that we've always done, so this is the process you're going to go through. Saying that to a customer is not really acceptable. The onus is on us to say, this is how customers want to transact, and this is how we're willing to transact with them, and keep holding ourselves to a higher standard every single time to address all the things that Jake is saying. Timeliness, transparency, we gave ourselves a little bit of a bad rap unintentionally just by keeping outdated processes when we're able to improve so many of those things for our customers today.
I appreciate you diving into that question right away. In the spirit of just really level setting and getting this conversation off the ground, we hear customer service used a lot in a lot of contexts and ways and reasons across industries as well. Let's note that. For both of you, what is customer service and what does that really mean in retail auto? What is the essence of that for both of you?
Exceeding expectations for me. I mean, we talk all the time with my team about how do we exceed expectations and how do we play upon the fact that some customers are going to come in with guards up or preconceived notions regarding us. How do we make sure that we exceed their expectations at every single turn? And let's make that our standard. So that's how we define customer service. And then we also try to look at that internally as well. How do we make employment here? We're essentially looking at our employees as guests as well. How do we make their days a little bit better too? How do we exceed their expectations? And while that seems like a broad net, it lets us dive into a lot of really good conversations about where we're headed.
And Jake, from your side, as far as customer service, what's that mean to you? What's that for retail auto?
Meeting customers where they're at. All customers have different wants and needs. Some folks want to do it online. Some folks want to do it in store. Some folks have great credit. Some folks have no credit. And it really kind of depends. And a lot of people have different expectations. So we need to adapt. We need to be willing to meet the customer where they're at. And when we do that, not forcing them into our box and saying, hey, you have to do it this way or you have to do it that way. We find that when we meet the customer where they're at, they really have a better experience and feel that we did provide them a good level of customer service.
Thank you both. And Kayla, the team here at VADA, we recently gave you a shout out on VADA LinkedIn that shared an amazing picture of your new service lounge. I believe it was part of actually a larger project your team took on. Can you talk a little bit about that, both from the investment and the customer service side and how that really came together?
Yeah, well, it clearly was my office, right?
Yeah.
We've been remodeling quite a few things throughout our stores. The customer lounge for service was the first one, and that is part of a larger project. So we're adding additional service capacity at 2 of our locations right now. One of those is a Ford Pro Center, so going to service a lot of our commercial clients and larger, heavier trucks, and then additional service capacity at our Glen Allen location. Just to make sure that we don't have customers waiting and we really can service all of our customers that we sell. We outgrew our fixed ops departments, which is a great problem to have, but one that we needed to address quickly. From the customer service side, this has been an awesome time for us to go back to basics and say, how do we make this better? How do we make sure our customers get pictures and videos? How do we make sure that we can be a pizza tracker, essentially, and let them know where their car is throughout service? Jake hit the nail on the head earlier when he referenced communication. Customers are cool if you explain it. If you don't, that's not fun for them, and it's not fun for us either. So adding additional transparency to the fixed ops process has been a mission of ours. And then adding efficiency wherever we can, parts requests, you name it, has been a really fun project. And we're pushing through it. And as always, there's roadblocks, but we're learning our way as we go.
Congratulations on that, Kayla. Sounds like everything is taking off as planned. Jake, wanted to ask, as a dealer principal, how do you embed that culture of customer service just across all levels of the dealership, from sales, service, and beyond? What's really your approach there?
So we started a process, and what we did was we came up with our core values. And there's two core values that we have as a company that highlight our customer service. One is I own it. And what that is if it is to be, it's up to me. So we empower our people to make sure that they own the process, they own the outcome, and they own the overall experience that the customer has. And instead of passing the buck and things of that nature, which customers hate, we really empower our folks to make sure that they take care of that process and take care of the customer. The second one would be people first. People first is a core value of ours. And the way that I explain that is the reason that our employees show up is generally for their families. So they show up, they are here, they have a job, they want to make income, they do it for their family. So if we take care of our employee, they are more likely to be able to take care of our customers. So, we put our people first. We make sure that we take care of our folks. They take care of our customers in return. And in doing so, we're good stewards to the community as well. So those two core values are centered to the decisions that we make, how we approach our customer sales process, and really make sure we address all of the things that come up to serve our customers well.
That's great. Thank you, Jake. So we talked about digital a little bit, and hey, we're here chatting virtually as well. So might as well get to this part of the discussion. Are there also simple things that can help? So what is something additional to the digital world that maybe low cost or really low action, or anything that can immediately improve the customer experience without thinking, okay, I need to go really digital and high tech with something?
I can answer a few things that we do. So we are a pretty progressive store, and like Kayla was describing, we use videos in our service department. So making sure that we have transparency when a car is up on a rack and a technician's looking at it, we send the customer a video of their vehicle. That is one of the highest rated digital things that we do. Additionally, we leverage a lot of remote signing capabilities. A lot of texting, which customers like to be texted. They like to see videos of the cars. Video is a really important part of this. So anytime we can get a video in front of a customer, whether it's on sales, service, or whatever, that's a big part of the digital tools that we use to make sure the buying process and service process is good.
Absolutely. And to tag off of what Jake is saying, that transformed our service departments and is continuing to transform them, especially giving the customer the ability to approve that work directly from the photo, and my tech finds out right away. Just removing friction points that don't need to exist anymore. No longer do technicians need to bring things up to advisors. There's such better ways to do this now. The other side too is sales, right? And our sales process has existed as is for a very long time with a lot of friction points and a lot of bottlenecks. We leverage software in our stores where the customer is truly building the deal with us. You walk in, we add different vehicles with different options. We can change term, we can change down payment, all right in front of them. Not only does that speed that up, but it also takes away the uncertainty about what's happening when a salesperson has to go back up to the tower. Like, what are you guys talking about behind that closed door? That doesn't exist anymore. The customer is truly leading the charge on purchasing their vehicle. And like Jake said, meeting them where they're at. They shouldn't have to repeat things that already happened online. That makes no sense. And another really simple one is, I think a lot of us are on Microsoft products now. Teams is huge. Having the ability to chat throughout your dealership just with a simple chat tool in Microsoft Teams that anyone can learn, or any of the other plugins that you can use across different verticals, it makes everything so much faster and easier. Like, I can let my team know that there's somebody on the lot, or they can say, hey, I need help with a vehicle, or where is this? And it's just better and faster.
We're Team Google, but
Yeah.
This is
One thing we don't align on so far. One thing we
I was going to say, this was going so well, both of you. Wow, this is perfect. No, I will say, Kayla, you provided the perfect segue into this next question. It's one about consistency. And it's one of those topics where there are various ways just to discuss this. But from the customer service perspective, just across multiple locations, teams, what do you think that key is to maintaining those high standards and attaining a level of consistency for customers?
So we put a lot of focus on what Ford calls the President's Award. So we're consistently looking at our survey, seeing what we could have done better, and our team knows that, right? And so that helps drive that consistency, but more so it's process. And I know that's a boring, not flashy answer, but if you don't have a solid process that removes friction points for your team and also delights your customers, it's not going to stick. And so I always try to go back and say, like, is this truly the best that it could be? Could I make this a little bit better? And I think that's the way that you gain buy-in over time, and listening when your team brings things up, even if it seems silly to you, right? Like, oh, well, you just don't understand it. That's a me thing. That's my problem. I need to fix that for them. Or, hey, this doesn't integrate with this the way we thought it did. Awesome, we can work on that. So not dismissing complaints and just really taking to them and fixing whatever you can for your team.
And Jake, anything from your side on just consistency across departments and customer service and locations as well?
Training. We do a lot of training. We make sure that we do a training every single day. It's where it really starts. So if we can train folks and they know what their job is, they know what the expectation is, and they can follow the process, that is one way to achieve consistency.
So handling dissatisfied customers, what's the philosophy? And dare I ask, is there an example that would be helpful just to share on perhaps turning a negative experience into something that was a positive outcome?
Don't let it get to me.
Yeah,
you know, I say that jokingly, but it's true. You know, I want my managers and people to take care of the problem. So typically, if it gets to me, then it hasn't been taken care of. So you know, I empower them to make the decision. You know, we also put things in place that are a little bit atypical. At the HoneyCar store, you know, we will unwind a deal. We have a 3-day return policy. So if a customer's not satisfied and 3 days, 300 miles, you know, they want to bring the car back, we want to take them back. You know, I don't want to force the customer into it within that 3-day period if they don't feel like it's the best car for them. So that really forces the managers as well to take care of the customer within the first couple of days, which is most likely when the dissatisfaction period happens when buying a car.
Yeah, Jake said it, empowering your team to take care of the issues, because that's better for the customer too. It shouldn't have to get to us. And if it does, hopefully it's a really complex problem that they didn't have the tools to solve yet, and we can teach them how to solve, right? And if it gets to me, I'm probably going to give away more than you would. So is the other little note that I tell them.
So within the recent challenges related to the industry, we all know what they are, just the inventory, supply chain, things throughout, you know, recently and even the past couple of years. From the customer service perspective specifically, how has that influenced strategies? How have you had to adapt? Anything from what dealers can learn from what you had done or your teams have taken on?
You know, in the Nissan world, we have inventory. Often it's not exactly what the customer's looking for, but we did get pretty good at trying to figure out how to satisfy customers with a short supply and, you know, educating the customers and things of that nature. So, you know, the market has changed so much even in the last 12 to 16 months that it's not so much inventory shortage. Now it's how do we manage the inventory that we have on ground? How do we order the right inventory in? Dealer exchanging is happening more frequently than it was happening during COVID. So there's also, it's changing every day. I mean, it's like we think we have a process, but all of those processes have changed since 2 years ago.
Yeah. The other downside, I would say, like Jake hit the nail on the head on inventory. Bringing back heavy training has been so important because prior to this, the customer really was driving a lot of the sale rather than our salespeople. And obviously, we were trying to process so much work in the Ford world, right? In service, that we kind of lost the art of explaining to the customer. Like if they said, hey, we didn't want something, or I don't need something done on my vehicle, we lost the art of explaining to them why that was important. So bringing back all those training times and bringing back a real focus on let's make sure that everybody leaves educated on everything. Let's make sure that we're really spending a lot of time with customers to overcome objectives, all that good stuff. We've had to hit that really hard because for so long it was, oh my gosh, thank God you have the vehicle. Can I please have it, right? And then the things we've kept is that focus on remote selling and just the ease of communication without having to be face-to-face with the customer.
So what's next? Looking forward, we're chatting customer service, and it's close to the end of the new year. Where do you see things going? What are you excited about within just the next year and years ahead as it relates to customer service?
AI, that's kind of a hot button, but I do seeing AI have a little bit heavier lift for the customers, making things easier to schedule appointments, easier to get feedback, easier to deliver a message to our team that's concise and allows us to be more reactive and quicker. I think there's going to be a lot of things that streamline and simplify both the buying and servicing process. So I'm hopeful for that. I think if we can remove some of the cumbersome things like, paper titles and all the complexities that go with that, and we can go to a little bit more streamlined process and, some of the things that VADA is working on to help us and make it easier for the customers to buy and service vehicles.
We're having a really fun time with remote services. So our mobile service team and our pickup and delivery team has really taken off, and that's been awesome. I think our total fleet now is 7 or 8 mobile service vans. So that's been a really neat thing to see kind of blow up, and a really fun team to build too. And then the other thing is just furthering, like Jake already said, the AI piece, but also what that does in our showrooms and what that does for the customer experience. I'm really big on the transparency in the deal and speeding all of this up for a customer once they say yes to a car. And I think we'll see further implementation of that. And then the inventory piece. We've never used, for so long it's bulk data or what everybody else is selling that we've used to stock. We've never really been able to use search trends well in many stores. So I think that'll allow us to serve our customers a lot better if we start looking at daily demand rather than past demand.
Well, Jake, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your insights into how dealerships can elevate customer service. Really appreciate both of you. We hope you found this discussion beneficial. Those of you across Virginia, thank you for joining us for VADA Live. I'm Dan Carrigan. See you next time.